Hello, my name is Valerie Varju. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the Regional Council Manager for Birth to 5 Illinois, Region 19, covering DuPage County. Thank you for watching Region 19's Early Childhood Regional Needs Assessment Virtual Report. This recorded session will provide an overview of findings from the Birth to 5 Illinois Region 19 Needs Assessment, as well as talk about the strengths, needs, and recommendations for improving access to and enrollment in early childhood education and care programs in the region. A link to the full report can be found in the description below. If you would like to turn on closed captioning, click the CC icon at the bottom of the video. This will turn on the captions. If you want a language different than English, click on the gear icon for settings, click on subtitles, then auto translate, and you can scroll down to pick the language you want.
Si desea activar los subtítulos, haga clic en el icono CC en la parte inferior del video. Esto activará los subtítulos. Si desea un idioma diferente al inglés, haga clic en el icono de ajustes, que es el icono parecido a un tornillo para hacer la configuración. Haga clic en los subtítulos y luego traduzca automáticamente, que será Auto Translate, y deslice hacia abajo para elegir el idioma que desea.
In 2021, the Illinois Commission on Equitable Early Childhood Education and Care Funding issued a report with findings that highlighted the inequities in early childhood funding in Illinois and the need to create a better statewide infrastructure to support early childhood professionals, expand services and programs for families and caregivers, and increase enrollment in ECEC programs. The report focused on the importance of addressing racial inequities and the need to include local voices in the conversation funders and decision makers were having about early childhood education and care. To provide a structure for communities, families, and caregivers to engage with the data and share their experiences, a new statewide infrastructure was created across 39 regions, all of which align with the existing Illinois State Board of Education regional offices of education boundaries, but operate independently. Birth to 5 Illinois regional boundaries align with school districts instead of strictly following county lines, which can be a challenge for gathering and interpreting data, because many early childhood services are provided by or tied to school districts. Region 19 is located in the northern part of Illinois, just west of Cook County, and includes most of DuPage County. It is the traditional home of the Peoria, Potawatomi, Miami, Ho-Chunk, Kaskaskia, Kickapoo, and the Sioux people of the Seven Council Fires. Joining me in Region 19 is Claudia Langoni, our Family and Community Engagement Specialist, and Daniela Elizondo, our Administrative Support and Data Specialist. The experiences and knowledge families, caregivers, and early childhood professionals gain while navigating the complexities of the state's early childhood education and care system are valuable, and understanding their lived experience in the local context is vital for decision makers to ensure communities have access to the programs, services, and supports they need. To this end, Birth to 5 Illinois was created to harness family and caregiver voices in early childhood education and care, and serve as a bridge between the communities and policymakers, so family, caregiver, and professional experiences can guide the decisions made to expand or enhance services across the state. Our mission is to create a statewide regional infrastructure that will amplify input from communities in the development of policies and funding priorities. We support the mobilization of communities to build and sustain equitable access to inclusive, high-quality early childhood services for all children and families in the state of Illinois. We envision that our work will help all stakeholders reimagine a more equitable early childhood education and care system that respects family and community voice and works to ensure it is centered and prioritized at every level of decision making in Illinois. Embedded in Birth to 5 Illinois' mission and vision are three main values and goals. First is that we must prioritize family voice. Through this transformation centered on authentic family and community engagement, We will address the inequitable distribution of resources and services and rebuild our state's early childhood education and care system. Secondly, we must address the racial inequities that exist in our early childhood system. In an effort to move our early childhood education and care system to one where racism no longer impacts a child's success, we will work to dismantle barriers that have limited access to high quality services for minoritized children in every corner of our state. Third, we will use the collective impact model to shift the current early childhood system to influence policy and funding at the local, regional, and state level. Birth to Five Illinois will use community-driven feedback to build a system that harnesses knowledge directly from families and providers and encourages decision makers to ensure new and/or expanded services are created to meet community needs. Two critical parts of the new statewide infrastructure are family councils and action councils. Located in each of the 39 regions, the councils provide feedback on quantitative data from the Illinois Early Childhood Asset Map, or ICAM, and the Illinois Network of Child Care Resource and Referral Agencies, otherwise known as INCRA, to help contextualize the data at the local level. The councils meet twice a month, virtually, in person, or through hybrid meetings. The family councils are comprised of parents and caregivers from a wide variety of family types, including single parents, adoptive and foster parents, caregivers of relatives, teen parents, two-parent families, multi-generational families, and more, and prioritize the voices of those who have not been involved in this type of work before. We want to take this opportunity to highlight those who have been involved in our Region 19 Family Council over the past year and thank them for sharing their experiences with the early childhood system. On behalf of our team here in Region 19, I want to express our sincere gratitude to those listed on the screen for their hard work during this process and allowing us to be a part of their early childhood journey. Action councils are comprised of early childhood education and care professionals, healthcare providers, faith leaders, elected officials, and other community members. Each action council reserved 2 seats for parents or caregivers to ensure family voices were included in every discussion. Action council members were invited to bring additional aggregated data on programs and services provided by their agency or organization to complement the data from ICAM and INCRA. Again, on behalf of the Birth to Five Illinois team and Region 19, I want to extend our thanks and gratitude to the Action Council members listed on the screen. We are especially grateful for their insights and dedication to improving outcomes for children and their families. At this time, we would also like to recognize the passion and work contributions of Darby Poole. Her life was dedicated to advancing outcomes for children, and we want to honor her legacy through our continued work. Beyond the council meetings, additional qualitative data was collected community-wide through focus groups and interviews, and all council members were invited to provide input on each section of the Early Childhood Regional Needs Assessment. During this time, our team facilitated 9 different focus groups with the intention of highlighting the voices of those who have traditionally not been given the opportunity. And we were delighted to interview more than 20 individual community members and organizational leaders. Based on our discussions and feedback from the community, our council members collectively developed the strengths, needs, and recommended next steps that are unique to our region. The following slides highlight some of the data from our regional needs assessment and provides insights into the early childhood education and care landscape in our region. With nearly 1 million residents, DuPage County is the second largest populated county in the state of Illinois. With almost 66,000 of those being children under the age of 6, it was important that we explored the dynamics that make up our region. As we looked at the various themes and patterns within the collected data and conversations, it was apparent that DuPage County has a reputation as an affluent community with top-ranking schools and neighborhoods. Yet beneath the surface are large pockets of disparity and discrimination. 63% of the focus group participants we polled indicated they or their family faced some form of discrimination as part of their early childhood journey. Although discrimination includes other factors besides race and ethnicity, such as socioeconomic status, religion, age, gender, and developmental ability, those disproportionately affected were our Black and Brown families. For some, it is the belief that anything that goes against that affluent aesthetic rests upon their shoulders. This, among other factors, has led to a collective of mistrust and fear among Region 19 families. Additionally, disparities due to the high cost of living, especially for the 38% of families that identify as single parent homes, make accessing equitable early childhood education and care services a challenge. For example, to help alleviate the high cost of living, some families, specifically in West Chicago and Naperville, have chosen to cohabitate together to cut costs. Although some of these families qualify for services such as home visiting, they have chosen not to participate for fear they will be reported to Child Protective Services or evicted by their landlord. Much in the same way, when looking at the early childhood education and care landscape for Region 19, what appears on the surface is not representative of reality. For example, when looking at this map, we can see that licensed child care centers are represented by purple circles and vary in size based on the number of children they can serve. Spread throughout are additional blue, orange, and red dots to represent family child care and publicly funded programs such as Preschool for All and Head Start. At first glance, it appears that there are plenty of opportunities for families and their young children. However, what the map does not convey is the true capacity of these programs to meet the needs of the children in our community. Despite appearances, the early childhood education and care system within our region can only accommodate a little more than 40% of the total population of children from birth to 5 years old. Those that are fortunate enough to secure childcare must navigate additional challenges such as affordability, lack of transportation, and unfortunately, discriminatory practices. As a result, many families are forced to choose between work and childcare. This year alone, one company in Carroll Stream has lost 3 employees who could not return to work after maternity leave due to a lack of childcare or cost. For others, it means driving almost an hour in the opposite direction of their workplace to drop their children off with a relative. Although limited space and long waiting lists can predominantly be attributed to the negative effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and workforce shortages, for those in need of programs such as Head Start or early intervention, the challenges lie in the way that state and federal funding decisions are made. Financial assistance through the Child Care Assistance Program is based on family size and total household income, but it does not take into account the high cost of living. Additionally, although only 20% of children live at or below 200% of the federal poverty line within our region, that total number far outweighs the total population of many Illinois counties combined. Since funding to add more availability for programs is based on percentages, those that are truly in need of services are put in an even bigger disadvantage. For example, PADS, an organization that assists those experiencing homelessness, acquired a hotel in Downers Grove. On any given night, they're able to provide accommodations for approximately 100 families and their children. However, despite this population's ability to qualify for publicly funded programming, the neighborhood in which it is set has an income level that skews the data. This means that based on percentages that are not reflective of the actual number of children in need, the area does not meet priority funding criteria to establish new preschool for all or Head Start programs. However, even if we are to change the system to increase the number of early childhood education and care slots within Region 19, it would do nothing to change access for families if we do not address the current workforce shortages. Although finding highly qualified teachers was a challenge prior to the pandemic, the results of COVID-19 have been devastating to childcare programs and services. As many were forced to close their doors or reduce capacity, early childhood professionals were left without work for months. Unfortunately, as restrictions were lifted and childcare centers started to resume normal operations, many early childhood teachers did not return to the profession. As a result, some childcare programs are having to reduce their hours or close classrooms. At the heart of the workforce issue is a lack of pay and respect. Despite high educational and credentialing requirements, most are not paid a living wage or receive important benefits such as medical insurance. Additional concerns about personal health, including the possibility of burnout and exposure to COVID-19, have also led many early intervention therapists to enter clinical practices or pursue other careers altogether. Those who transitioned from providing services in the child's home or school cite having more control over their environment and caseload. However, in doing so, many families, especially those without private insurance, are faced with additional challenges in acquiring much needed services. Additionally, with shelter in place restrictions, many children were unable to participate in developmentally pivotal social experiences. As a result, early childhood professionals are finding themselves working with children with multiple needs more so than in the past. As these children ultimately require additional social emotional support, many group settings are not equipped to provide them with the additional help they need. According to one family child care provider, this added stress can't help but be reflected in care and quality. With almost 5,000 early childhood professionals working within Region 19, it's imperative that we work to improve professional supports and compensation and change the workforce trajectory to one of growth rather than continued loss. Despite the challenges that families and employers are facing within the early childhood education and care system, there are organizations and agencies currently working within Region 19, and they are paving the way for the work ahead and have committed themselves to working together through collaborations. Community collaborations are an integral part of the early childhood landscape. Local early childhood community collaborations bring together community agencies, organizations, and individuals with a shared vision or goal. They understand the importance of improving early childhood education and care for children, caregivers, and providers. As such, Region 19 has one of the largest early childhood collaborative landscapes within Illinois, with 12 formal collaborations, including the Addison Partners for Play, Learning, and Education, All Our Kids Network, Bensonville Early Learning Supporters, Birth to Five Community Coalition, the Bloomingdale Township Children's Network, the DuPage Early Childhood Collaboration, DuPage Home Visiting Network, the Glenbard Early Childhood Collaborative, Villa Park Area Early Childhood Collaborative, We Go Together for Kids, Wheaton Warrenville Early Childhood Collaborative, and Willowbrook Corner Coalition. Thanks to philanthropic support from organizations such as the DuPage Foundation and partnerships with local school districts, these collaborations have been able to better connect with families and subsequently connect those families with early childhood services. As a result, those communities with an established collaboration have demonstrated increased access to early care and education, and thus later school success. Yet despite these successes, many collaborations are finding themselves continually justifying their place within school systems. In order to continue to ensure quality early learning experiences, we must strengthen our partnerships between schools and collaborations and provide them with the technical assistance to support their ongoing efforts. This is especially important as we work together to address the fears and mistrust among families and empower them to be advocates for their children. Along with our collaborations and community partners, we can continue to listen to families and amplify their voices. At this time, I have the privilege of introducing you to one of our family council members, Sandra. She has graciously agreed to share her story and the struggles she and her husband experienced during their daughter's early learning journey.
My name is Sandra, and I've lived in DuPage County for 6 years. As a mom of an only Spanish-speaking child with mild to moderate hearing loss, I've encountered a journey with a lot of challenges. When my daughter had early intervention, I participated, interpreted, and was guided to help my daughter. I was part of the team. My husband, who is only Spanish-speaking, and I were instructed to encourage our daughter to speak in her home language. But once early intervention ended, pre-K was unaccommodating. It was hard for her to get everything she needed because she isn't only hard of hearing and an English language learner, but also part of early childhood education. It was the beginning of having many of my concerns dismissed. I was told, this is an only English program. This is what we have. I asked about the neighboring district because they do have an inclusive early education bilingual program. But I was told I would have to pay out of pocket, and that she was being offered everything she needed for her individualized education plan, which wasn't even filled out properly. At that moment, the somewhat Spanish-speaking aide was directing her questions to my daughter in English. Thus, my daughter could not meaningfully participate. To get my daughter a proper preschool individual proficiency test and her home language survey to be evaluated, I had to talk to multiple people. Some of these people were the special education teacher, her direct supervisor, the special education director, and the ELL director, the superintendent, and Illinois School Board of Education. Nonetheless, it was hard to understand that my child needed multiple services. After 3 years, I can say English language learner teachers are still being altered. These new partial services have started late every school year. All in all, home languages are undervalued in the district that my daughter attends. It doesn't matter that learning a primary language is what all children are doing at a preschool level. And when children come to school speaking a language other than English, their first language development may proceed more slowly or may suffer from language loss. With certainty, if my child didn't need hearing services, I would have opted out of pre-K because it doesn't support bilingual students to progress into a bilingual kindergarten. It doesn't matter that the closer the match between early childhood education and kindergarten, the more successful the children will be.
Based on stories similar to those shared by Sandra and other families, community and council members identified several strengths of the early childhood system in the region, and subsequently various needs to help improve outcomes for all. One of these is the ability of our communities to work together to connect children and families with services. There's a robust collection of organizations that are leading the way and making an impact. However, in order to continue to support families of differing needs, state and federal funding policies need to be restructured to include qualifying criteria for those just outside the threshold. Another key strength of Region 19 is the highly skilled and well-educated early childhood education and care workforce, comprised of almost 5,000 professionals. Yet without a better appreciation for the value of these individuals through equitable wages, the early childhood education and care system in DuPage County cannot sustain itself. As a result, a shortage of early childhood teachers is dramatically affecting families' ability to access care. Yet despite many of the challenges, Region 19 is comprised of resilient and resourceful families, especially in the face of adversity. What is needed to help support these families and their young children are changes to the current system to support children of varying levels of development and need. Incorporated into this system is parent and caregiver education that empowers them to be even stronger advocates for their children. Based on community and council conversations, recommendations have been made on how early childhood education and care programs and services can be improved for families within our region. These recommendations will be presented to lawmakers, state agencies, local elected officials, and funders so they can better understand the needs of families within our region. In doing so, we will also be able to provide information on how to best meet those needs. In direct relation to the key strengths and needs previously discussed, our councils have put forth the recommendation for a tiered approach to publicly funded program qualification criteria for families. It is our belief that outlying factors such as the cost of living should be taken into consideration. Secondly, we recommend increased funding to support educational advancement and compensation for the early childhood education and care workforce. Additionally, in an effort to address the level of mistrust and fear among families, it is also recommended that we meet families where they are. This includes the establishment of region-wide and community-specific parent support and playgroups. These opportunities would be accessible to all and presented in a manner that engages caregivers in their own environments, with information communicated in a way that is in line with their level of understanding and engagement. For a comprehensive list of all of our recommendations, we highly encourage you to read our full regional needs assessment. The link can be found in the description below. This work would not be possible without our funders. And at Birth to Five Illinois, we are proud to be a department of the Illinois Network of Child Care Resource and Referral Agencies and are grateful for funding from the Illinois State Board of Education and the Illinois Department of Human Services. In the upcoming weeks and months, we will be out in the community talking to more families, providers, and stakeholders about their experiences with early childhood education and care. And we can't wait to talk with you. We encourage you to stay in touch with us by visiting our regional page at www.birth25il.com/region19, by joining our Facebook group, or reaching out to me via email at vvarju@birth25il.com. That's V as in Victor, V as in Victor, ARJU at birth25il.com. Links to our pages along with my email address are available in the description below. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to connecting with you soon.